has evolved such that our business is quite balanced between retail and corporate. It's also somewhat balanced now geographically. So Papua New Guinea, our home market, is responsible for a little over 60% of our top line and bottom line. And the balance of almost 40% arises from the six other countries across the South Pacific that we do business in. So each and every market is a little bit different. I would say, starting with PNG, probably hasn't been quite as good as we would have expected, perhaps a year ago. And when I say that as a banker, some of that is reflected in our loan book, where we haven't really had the sort of growth that might have happened in previous years. Although recently, in the last probably 60 days, we've seen several transactions get closer to execution, and we'll start to turn that around as we move into 2025. Across the Pacific, we have seen more consistent growth in those markets. Our next biggest market is Fiji, where we're doing quite well. We're the largest bank operating in the country. We're also the largest life insurance company as well, and both of them are doing very well. So the other thing is, yes, there's loan growth. There's also transaction volume. Now, on transaction volume, that we've actually seen some pretty healthy pickup, and that could be through our merchant acquiring business. It could be through our card issuance business, but very strong growth there. And some of that reflects economic growth, and some of it, I think, also reflects transactions that are moving on to digital means and away from cash.
Right. So you're seeing it'd be like a move from the informal economy into the formal economy to some extent.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
If you're no longer, cash is still very, very important in all of our markets.
Yes.
In PNG, I think it's responsible for approximately 80% of transactions are still cash. But yes, we are seeing more transactions move on to digital channels.
PNG stopped using checkbooks for personal and corporate business.
For the private sector, individuals and corporates.
Yeah. How's that gone, that transition?
I'd say it's gone quite well, actually, and I applaud the authorities, namely the Bank of Papua New Guinea, for leading that initiative, and obviously the banking sector as a whole. Working very hard to make sure the transition went well. There was an extension of the period of the deadline by which checks would no longer be used. During that extension, we and other banks used this as an opportunity to continue to educate our clients about the other means of payments. And now here we are, 6 months after checks, or almost 6 months after checks are no longer being used by the private sector, and it's going very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
So maybe government will be next?
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
We would encourage that. We think that would drive out a lot of the cost and inefficiency, and candidly at times a lot of frustration that parties have when checks take time to get cleared, get approved, and the associated bureaucracy that goes along with them.
I think when you first started at BSP, it was not a perfect time to join the organisation. The core banking system, I think, was relatively new, and there were some teething problems.
Yes.
Can we say that that's behind the bank at this stage, or is there still some work to be done?
I think there's always work to be done.
Right.
We acknowledge that any institution which is in the business of serving, whether it be retail or corporate or governments or other financial institutions, we're always striving to do better. We invest a tremendous amount in our technology platform. We did announce about approximately $350 million investment that we were making in modernization in 24, 25, 26, and a substantial portion of that is in technology. So we'll continue to do that. In terms of the issues that we had last year, a lot of effort was made to address them, and they have been addressed. But I also want to make it very clear that, as I just said, that we really are striving to continue to improve our service levels.
Yeah. there would seem to be an enormous opportunity to pursue further digitalisation, particularly in the financial services area. What's BSP doing in that area, particularly to pursue that opportunity?
We are already the largest through our USSD mobile banking. We have over 20 million transactions a month.
Wow.
In PNG alone. And we continue to invest in that. We are also, by the time this article comes out, we will have launched a mobile wallet across PNG, and then we believe that will also be launched in some of our Pacific markets next year as well.
That's exciting.
And it is very exciting because we believe it'll be a very compelling proposition because the ecosystem that we have and the number of merchants that we deal with, the number of other retail customers and corporates and what have you, we think it'll be something that will deliver a tremendous amount of value to people in the country whose banking needs may be quite simple or they may be more sophisticated. This will be one part of their options for making payments that we think will be very, very attractive for both the speed, the efficiency, the cost, etc. And that is something we'll be launching in the first quarter of 2025.
So with that particular offering, will that PNG's mobile phone connectivity is roughly 80% of the population coverage, but the uptake of phones within that coverage area is less. A lot of people still have relatively simple phones.
Yes.
Will this solution be usable by those kind of phones and on a 3G style network?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a solution that works on any level of connectivity, 3G, 2G, 5G.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so it's very much a solution that's tailored to PNG's current
It works
needs.
very well in PNG, and it'll be quite applicable here, and probably one or two of our other markets it'll be very applicable for them. At the same time, we're very cognizant that some markets move at different paces, and so we also have a 5G mobile wallet that we're introducing as well.
Okay.
That'll be a little bit later next year.
One of the challenges of financial inclusion here, and I know you have quite strong connections to the grassroots parts of the economy through your large branch network that you operate. One of the challenges is the fact that people don't have ID. The know your customer process here can be complex, and may in some cases you may not have ID. What kind of things can you explore to encourage more people or bring more people into the formal system, given those constraints?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is to acknowledge that bringing people into the formal banking sector as their first step to having a banking arrangement is perhaps not the right way to go, and that's again where the wallet comes in. And someone whose needs are very, very simple, a wallet will be a lower cost and a less burdensome KYC process as well.
Right.
And obviously we've worked very, very closely with the regulators on this particular point, and as has the banking sector, such that where you've got very limited requirements for payments, you don't necessarily need to have the same level of KYC as you might have for someone whose financial needs are more sophisticated, and their first step is a full-fledged bank account. And this is something that is very important, that you can be comfortable with the KYC on a wallet, comfortable with that for a bank account, and then of course comfortable with things that may be much more sophisticated. And we think we're getting that calibration about right, and that this should be something, the mobile wallet, that would enable really, that does cater to the availability of identification in PNG.
I've done about 40 interviews in the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
And all sorts of different kinds of businesses. It's been absolutely fascinating. And there are a lot of issues facing, a lot of headwinds, if you like, facing business at the moment in PNG. But what I also find talking to people is when you drill down, a lot of them are still doing okay.
Yes.
In spite of the many impediments. And in the interest of disclosure, I'm a shareholder in your bank, albeit a very modestly placed one. But what is it about business in this community that makes them so robust and resolute and able to deal with these shocks? I mean, we've had a number of shocks this year, ongoing foreign exchange shortages, fuel shortages, you had the January riots as well. And yet people are saying, I've come through it, So how would you characterise the business community here?
I think you'd characterise it as resilient, resourceful, optimistic, engaged. There's no question that we've had companies operating here for many decades, in many cases prior to the independence of PNG. So they have an institutional knowledge, and a lot of that knowledge may be also reflected in their senior management and their ownership and their board and what have you.
Yes.
And their business model accommodates some of the ups and downs and other sort of challenges and surprises. And they recognize that over the long term, the returns in Papua New Guinea are attractive. And I'd say furthermore, really across the South Pacific. But you can't be a fair weather friend. You have to be here for the long term. And if you're here for the long term, the relationship is a very, very healthy relationship in a commercial sense. So you clearly have to be resilient. I mean, even across our region, things like weather are very real, and climate change.
And geology as well.
Geology and migration. You've got some of the countries where large parts of the population have chosen to move to other countries, and you've got to be able to accommodate that. We see this in some of our businesses in the Pacific where we've got a very attractive labor pool. Unfortunately, it sometimes gets attracted to leave the country and go work somewhere else. So all of these things, you have to be able to manage them, but manage them in a long-term context. Because if you got upset with 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year, I don't think this is the region for you, right? You really have to be thinking out longer term. And if you make the commitment, I mean, the loyalty of employees is incredible. People are very, very hardworking, very optimistic, very much, the family values are very, very evident. And I think if a company is expressing that commitment over the long term, and they show their reinvestment in the community and the business sector, that'll get rewarded. And again, over time, I think the returns are very attractive in this part of the world.
I want to make sure we've captured what your plans are for next year. You already mentioned the mobile wallets, the two mobile wallets, and some of the program of continuing to invest in technology. What other key things can we expect from BSP next year?
I think really don't look at us in any 1 year. We're on a multi-year journey to modernise the institution. We've set ourselves some very ambitious goals. We are the South Pacific's international bank. We're the only bank that's been born and raised in the South Pacific that is operating across multiple countries, a wide region, and we run the bank based on international standards. We believe that the way to benchmark ourselves is to look outside the bank for other institutions, both in the region and outside the region. What are some of the things that we can do to raise the level of the customer experience, but candidly also the employee experience. We want our employees to be in an environment that's rich with opportunity. They're learning a lot. They're recognized, and it has a great environment for them to build a long-term career. So again, you'll see us continue to modernize. Some of this will be in the channel offerings that we make available to our customers. Some of it will be in our physical distribution. We have over 80 branches in PNG, over 30 across the South Pacific. And frankly, some of those perhaps are a little bit in need of upgrading, and that some of that could also be a change in the format of branches as well, becoming a more digital assistance type operations. And some of them will reflect the fact that cash usage in some areas is going down, and we have to remodel the branch to reflect that as well. It'll also, I hope, over time, our employees will notice the type of opportunities inside the bank are changing. Things like data,
Yep.
We believe it's a tremendous advantage that we have. We have tremendous insight into transactions, and we can use that insight to offer our clients products, and how we go about doing that will be informed by having the insight or the way to use data effectively and responsibly.
Yes.
For our customers. The number of transactions per annum, whether it be through ATMs or tellers or mobile banking, internet banking, certainly far exceeds any other institution.
Yes.
And we believe that's, utilizing data is something that's going to be very important to us in the years ahead. But that's a good example of an area that creates new jobs in the bank that didn't exist as recently as 12 months ago.
Got it.
Another area is retail risk. We're investing a tremendous amount there to better understand retail lending and how to do that responsibly and in a way that caters for the needs of the folks right across the region. So just watch us.
Yes.
It's not all going to happen overnight, and as I said, the first thing we acknowledge is that we're not perfect. We don't rest on our laurels, and we'll continue to strive to improve the customer experience.
Noted. I wouldn't mind getting your comment on a couple of current pressing business issues, or particularly issues that are affecting your sector. The first is the foreign exchange situation, which, talking to business, is still either number one or two for most businesses operating in this country. What are the prospects? Are you seeing any change in the supply of Forex? What's your expectation for the coming year?
Yeah, well, as you know, in Papua New Guinea, we're under an IMF program.
Yes.
This currency regime has been in place for over 10 years. There is still an order board, so our clients who require foreign exchange in order to pay suppliers have to go through a process that includes getting central bank approval for the remittance, includes placing local currency on deposit with us. The end result, though, is that there is a time delay between when they go through that process and when we can actually make the remittance. We have noticed and would applaud the movement of the central bank to make available approximately $100 million a month. That has been very helpful in terms of addressing some of this backlog. Our hope, of course, would be that it won't be long before the kina will reach a market clearing price. And when it does, we think that will be very, very beneficial for the country. I believe we're probably likely to see a number of stages. The first would be that market clearing price and full convertibility for imports, or the trade sector, let's say. And then you're likely to see, beyond that, say, dividends and investment flows, and then ultimately capital repatriation and things of that nature. Our hope is that these things are all likely to happen in the next 1, 2, 3 years, not far. But there is a price the country pays by having this currency regime, and I can appreciate the wish not to unnecessarily import inflation arising from a weak currency. But I think the sooner we get to a market clearing price for the kina, the healthier it will be for everybody.
Given you've spent this amount of time in the economy now, what's your sense of the potential of this economy? I mean, obviously right now we're in a quiet period, but looking forward, in the 2, 3, 5, 10 year, how do you see PNG's potential moving forward?
Look, the potential is very, very significant. It's population-wise, it's the largest population in the South Pacific, excluding Australia. Its location is very fortunate in terms of our exports, being able to go from here up to North Asia, straight shot, as it were. And so it's a relatively favorable location. You've got a very willing an available workforce.
Yes.
You've got a tremendous support from a number of countries, both in the region and beyond the region, that are very good friends of Papua New Guinea, that want Papua New Guinea to be successful and will lend support to the country in that regard. And then of course, there's well-known natural resources here, both in the metals and mining and hydrocarbons. And then you've got a very lush environment that's conducive to agriculture. And then of course you've got the surrounding ocean, where you've got tremendous value there. So all the pieces of the puzzle are there, and particularly the natural resources projects that are well understood. They're of an international scale, and with exactly the type of international partners that you would expect to see.
Yep.
So it's the likelihood of those sort of going through the process and generating the type of returns, I think that we would like to see is very high. I think there's somewhat of a potential flywheel effect once these projects come underway. I think it could have you could be looking at pretty significant growth rates, probably starting beyond 25, but not too far beyond that. I also think there's also a great deal of potential in the agricultural sector as well. Yeah. And this could be palm oil, this could be coffee, cocoa, and again, as the currency reaches a market clearing level, and those areas benefit from receiving more kina for their exports, I think that gives them an opportunity to invest in those areas as well. But I think the next several years for this country, the outlook is very positive. Challenges?
Yes.
There are absolutely challenges, some which the country has no control over. Some of the global economic conditions, geopolitical conditions, but some of them the country can have a great deal of impact on. That'd be things like power.
Yes.
We need to move beyond some of the challenges that we've had with power and get to a stage where we've got world-class reliability for power. Yes. We've got opportunities to harness the sun, as you will have noticed.
Yes. Plenty of sun here.
Plenty of sun here. As you will perhaps also notice, you don't see solar anywhere.
No.
Right? Yeah. That seems a shame.
Except on steamship's roof.
Right. Yeah. So it would be great to see whatever has to be done to harness that natural resource that's obviously very sustainable. There's also some logistical issues in terms of roads and air transport. We need to see more reliable air transport. There's some real progress there in terms of refleeting of PNG, and again, though that's looking very promising in the next 12 to 24 months.